My niece Diane had always been helpful. Too helpful, my husband used to say before he passed. The kind of helpful that shows up uninvited. That volunteers for things nobody asked her to do. That inserts itself into situations where it doesn't belong. After Gerald died, Diane became my shadow. Aunt Ruth let me drive you to appointments. Aunt Ruth let me help you sort through Gerald's things. Aunt Ruth, you shouldn't be dealing with liars alone. I'll come with you. I was 79. I just lost my husband of 54 years. I was tired and grieving and grateful for the company. I didn't realize she was studying everything. The estate. The accounts. The property. The will Gerald and I had made together in 1987 and updated twice since. She was learning what she stood to inherit. And then she was figuring out how to get more. What Diane didn't know was that 6 months before Gerald died, I had made a video. Gerald and I had built a modest life. A house worth about $380,000. Savings of just over $400,000. A small rental property Gerald had bought in 1979 that was now worth $220,000. Just over $1 million. More than we ever expected to accumulate. More than we ever discussed with anyone except our lawyer. Our will was straightforward. Everything split equally between our 2 children, Robert and Patricia. Our grandchildren each received a small trust. A few personal items designated for specific people. Diane wasn't in the will. She was Gerald's brother's daughter. We loved her. But she had her own family, her own life, her own parents who were still living. After Gerald passed, I noticed Diane asking questions. Did Uncle Gerald have life insurance? Are you keeping the rental property or selling it? Have you thought about updating your will now that things have changed? I told her the will was handled. Not her concern. She smiled and changed the subject. 3 weeks later, my lawyer called. Ruth, I received a document in the mail claiming to be an updated version of your will. I want you to come in and take a look at it. I sat across from my lawyer of 22 years, Franklin Moore, and looked at the document he slid across the desk. It had my name on it. My address. The correct legal formatting. Even what appeared to be my signature. But I had never seen it before in my life. I didn't write this, I said. I didn't think so, Franklin said quietly. Look at page 3. I turned to page 3. The new will left Robert and Patricia each 10% of the estate. The remaining 80% went to Diane Margaret Holloway. My hand was steady when I put the document down. Something cold and clear was settling over me. She made this, I said. That appears to be the case. The signature is a very good forgery. The formatting is correct. If you hadn't had a long relationship with our firm, and if I hadn't known your handwriting personally, this might have passed initial scrutiny. What happens now? Franklin leaned forward. Ruth, before we go to the police, there's something I need to show you. He opened his laptop and turned it toward me. 6 months before Gerald passed, you came in here alone. Do you remember what we recorded that day? I smiled for the first time since sitting down. I remember exactly. 6 months before Gerald died, his doctors had warned us. The prognosis wasn't good. 6 months, maybe 12. We had time to prepare, but not unlimited time. I'd come to Franklin's office alone on a Tuesday morning. Gerald knew. He'd encouraged it. Record everything, Gerald said. Do it properly. So there's no question later. Franklin had set up a camera in his conference room. I sat before it and stated my full name, the date, that I was of sound mind and not under any duress. Then I read my will aloud. Every provision, every beneficiary, every specific bequest. I explained my reasoning for each decision. Franklin and his paralegal signed as witnesses. The video was time-stamped, encrypted, and stored on the firm's secure server. It was never mentioned to anyone. Not to Robert. Not to Patricia. Not to Diane. Does Diane know about the video? Franklin asked. Nobody knows about the video, I said. Gerald and I kept it between ourselves and you. Franklin nodded. Then here's what I suggest. We don't alert Diane yet. We let this forged document sit. We go to the police today and report the forgery. Then we wait. For what? For the will reading. He paused. She'll come. She'll expect to hear she's receiving 80%. And instead, she'll hear something she's not expecting. I thought about that. Make sure someone has a camera, I said. I want to see her face. The police took the forgery seriously. Detective James Whittaker handled fraud and financial crimes. He examined the forged will and confirmed what Franklin suspected. The signature was traced, likely from a document Diane had access to during one of her helpful visits to my home. Does she know you've reported this? He asked. No. Good. Keep it that way. We're going to let this play out at the will reading. We'll have officers present, plainclothes. When she arrives expecting to inherit $800,000 and learns instead that she's receiving nothing, we want to see her reaction. People in that situation often say things that are very helpful to our case. The will reading was scheduled for a Thursday afternoon at Franklin's office. Robert and Patricia flew in. I told them only that there had been a legal matter that required their presence. Nothing more. Diane arrived 12 minutes early. She was dressed carefully. Hair done. A new blazer. She hugged me warmly in the waiting room and asked how I was holding up. Better than expected, I told her honestly. We filed into the conference room. Franklin set up the laptop at the head of the table. Diane looked at the laptop and frowned slightly. What's that for? Ruth recorded a video statement of her 6 months before Gerald's passing, Franklin said pleasantly. We'll be watching it today as part of the reading. Standard procedure when a video testament exists. The color changed in Diane's face. Just slightly. Just enough. I wasn't aware of any video, she said carefully. Most people aren't, Franklin said. Shall we begin? The video began. My own face appeared on the screen. Younger by a year. Sitting calmly in the same conference room. I watched Diane watch me. She recognized immediately what this meant. I could see the calculation happening behind her eyes. The realization. The unraveling. On screen, I read through the will provision by provision. The house. The savings. The rental property. Robert and Patricia, equal shares. The grandchildren's trusts. No mention of Diane. When the video ended, the room was quiet. Robert and Patricia looked confused but said nothing. They didn't know yet what had been attempted. Diane stood up. There must be some mistake, she said. Her voice was very controlled. I received a copy of the will that indicated the document you're referring to is a forgery, Franklin said. The police have been investigating for 3 weeks. The 2 plainclothes detectives stood up from their seats at the back of the room. Diane looked at me. I looked back at her and said nothing. There was nothing to say. She was charged that afternoon with will forgery, fraud, and attempted theft by deception. The total value of what she'd attempted to steal, $840,000. At trial, her defense argued she'd been given the document by someone else and hadn't known it was forged. The prosecution played the video. They pointed out the trace signature. The paper stock purchased from an office supply store 2 miles from Diane's home. The printer model that matched the printer in Diane's home office. The jury deliberated for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Diane received 4 years in prison. Full restitution ordered. Permanent bar from serving as executor or beneficiary in any estate proceeding in the state. Her parents, Gerald's brother and his wife, sent me a letter. They didn't apologize for Diane, but they apologized for themselves. For not seeing it. For not raising her better. I wrote back and told them it wasn't their fault. I meant it. Robert and Patricia inherited equally, as Gerald and I always intended. The grandchildren's trusts are intact. The house is mine for as long as I want it. After that, it goes to my children. People have asked me why I didn't tell anyone about the video. Why I kept it secret, even from my own children. Gerald and I talked about that. We'd seen it happen in other families. The moment people know what they're inheriting, something changes. The way they look at you. The way they treat you. Whether they're good people or not, the knowledge does something. We didn't want that. We wanted our children to care for us because they loved us. Not because they were protecting an inheritance. As for Diane, I don't think about her often. When I do, I don't feel angry. I feel something closer to sadness. That she sat across from me at holiday dinners for 30 years. That she held my hand at Gerald's funeral. That she genuinely seemed to care about me. And underneath all of that, she was measuring. Calculating, waiting. Gerald used to say that character is what you do when you think nobody is watching. Diane thought nobody was watching. She was wrong. The camera had been running for 6 months.